Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
So tonight I'm going to be picking up from where Jean Marie started last week and talking about the heart. So this became my religion. Heart became my religion, and I really trace it back to reading this book. I was there for different reasons, but this solidified it, put it together, and gave me a tool to use and a vision. So I'm sharing it with you tonight. It starts with infinite energy. He talks about how energy comes from inside of us. It doesn't come from the body. It doesn't come from food and rest, although those are important things to feed the body with. But that's not where energy comes from. Energy is non-local. Energy comes through us, and it's infinite. I've got news for Einstein. Energy is infinite. I'm sure he would agree and maybe argue, but in the book he says, you have a phenomenal amount of energy inside of you. It doesn't come from food or from sleep. He says the energy is always available to you. At any moment, you can draw upon it. It gushes up spontaneously from deep inside and restores, replenishes, and recharges you. You block it by closing your heart, by closing your mind, and by pulling yourself into a restrictive space inside. This closes you off from all energy. The energy is there, but it can't get in. It can't get into you. It can't get out. That is what it means to be blocked. When you close, the energy stops flowing. When you open, all the energy rushes up inside of you. True spiritual teachings are about this energy and how to open up to it. This is a way that we channel our love, our light, our appreciation, our gratitude, where we feel a sense of abundance, when we can release and experience joy. It comes through one portal. This is it. This is the doorway. It's not up here. This very important brain and our very wonderful intellect and mind is really meant to serve this, because this will tell us what. This will help us figure out how, right? Navigating in the 3D world. It's meant to serve. It's meant to take its cue from this. And always this knows, because there is no ego in the heart. In the heart. This isn't about love, and it's not about liking, and it's not about loving this one and not loving that one, remembering who to exclude out of my life, where to draw the line. I talked about lines on Sunday, a couple of Sundays ago. But this is really about how to open to allow ourselves to allow the flow of life, L-I-F-E, to flow through us. And so you can choose to open your heart. It feels like the tender, vulnerable part of you exposed, so it's freaky, when you first tried breathing and allowing yourself, because we're used to, covering up. And if we just kind of just go, what if I just, kind of like Iron Man, if I just kind of showed my heart and just let the light shine out of it, if I just walked through the world, heart forward, heart first, if I opened, if I breathed, if I just let the vulnerable, tender part of me be exposed, and know that nothing is going to invade me, right? We kind of have this idea that there's evil out there, and there's, unsavory things in people. Well, there are, and you can encounter that, but it doesn't come into you. Nothing you don't allow into your space is allowed to come into you. No one else can will or overpower you with energy in any negative kind of way. This is your domain. This is you holding space. So your tender feeling, open heart is what you're open and allowing and meeting what is with. Got it? It's not coming at you. It's not coming to hurt you. It's not attacking. What it is you're meeting the world heart forward. And you're meeting it where you are, with an openness and breathing fearlessness into it. Breathe with me. What would it be like if you walked that way on this planet? Michael Singer says, closing your heart does not really protect you from anything. It just cuts you off from your source of energy. Did you hear that? It doesn't protect you. We think, I gotta protect myself. I gotta hold back. Just let anything happen. Just let anybody near me. But if I do that, I have already made a big decision how I'm showing up. And my light has just dimmed. And my ability to connect, and maybe even my ability to discern has been affected because I shut down. I believe in some fear. I let fear kind of run me. So closing your heart doesn't really protect you. It just cuts you off. And in the end, it only serves to lock you inside. And you feel safe while not really being safe from anything. Just a little less powerful. So it's a choice, but here's the choice you're making. When you close your heart to the outside, you also close your heart to its power, to the energy that brings potential, love, healing to the condition. You literally shut down and isolate, and you do that externally and internally, holding thoughts and emotions that sicken you and affect your well-being. This is my teaching. This is what I know, is that because our very life force comes through this, because everything that is feeding me in this lifetime is coming through the same portal. And it's only got an open or close on it. It doesn't have a filter on it and strain it, where you can have just this piece or just that piece. It's just like trying to shine your love or to point your love at one person and not get it all over everybody. If it's love. Now, if it's favor or if it's, some kind of ego affection or something like that, well, you got some control over that, I guess. But when we're talking love flows wherever love is not. Love flows into the void. It flows into the space. It flows into the state. You're radiating love 360, whether you're facing in that direction or not, whether you meant to or not. If you open, you're there. When your heart starts to close, just say, no, I'm not going to close. When you come up against something that's a challenge, and you can feel that contraction, this is all it is. It's just like that little contraction, like it's closing, like almost a small little pain, just like a tightness, a little harder to breathe. I'm just going to kind of hold back. I'm protecting myself, or I'm scared, or I'm not sure, or I'm angry, or I'm judging. I don't want to let that in. I'm particular about what comes into me. But instead, what I'm really shutting down from is the ability to embrace, the ability to influence, the ability to change, the ability to connect, the ability for me to learn and to grow and to meet whatever it is in my life, and the energy with which to radiate and shift and change what I see in the world. And it's a choice. and you make it every single moment. When your heart starts to close, just say, I'm not going to close, I'm just going to relax. I'm going to let this situation take place and be there with it. You will find that you forget how to close. You will, with practice. You will just embrace life with all your heart and soul. You'll be amazed at how easy it actually can be. Michael Singer says, the more you stay open, the more the energy flow can build. At some point, so much energy comes into you that it starts flowing out of you. You feel it as waves pouring off of you. You can actually feel it flowing off your hands, out your heart, and through all of your energy centers, because the heart is one of your chakras. It's an energy center, but you have others. All these energy centers open, and a tremendous amount of energy starts flowing out of you. The energy affects other people. People can pick up on your energy. We can pick up on the energy of other people, yes. You can tell when a sourpuss walks in, you know, when somebody who's got a shadow over their head or over their brow, you can feel it. You feel that energy. Just know that that's a place where love could really do some magic. Could really work. And you don't have to know anything about their situation or their worthiness or their deservedness for your love. You can just shine it on them, share it with them. And people pick up on your energy too, he says, and you're feeding them with this flow. If you're willing to open even more, it never stops. You become a source of light for all those around you. And when you start to feel the tendency of an illness coming on, this would have been handy over COVID, wouldn't it? When you start to feel the tendency of an illness coming on, you just relax, and breathe, and open. And when you open, you bring more energy into the system, and it can begin to heal, harmonize, transform, bring order, allow life to thrive. Let go without resistance, without animosity, just energy can heal, and that's why love can heal. As you explore your inner energy, a whole world of discovery opens up to you. So that's what he says about energy. He also talks about the spiritual heart, this heart. He says, in the yogic tradition, an unfinished energy pattern is called a samskara. This is a Sanskrit word meaning impression. And in the yogic teachings, it's considered one of the most important influences affecting your life. A samskara is a blockage, an impression from the past. It's an unfinished energy pattern that ends up running your life. We know about that, don't we? Those issues, right? That stuff I grew up with, the things that I've been working on, the things that have been working on me, the things that come up when I think I solved it all, when I took care of that, when I did therapy on that one, and still, there you are again. There's no other place for it to go because you won't let it. He says it's your resistance to experiencing these patterns that causes the energy to keep cycling around itself. This is how most people process the issues, he says. All the samskaras you have collected over your life are stored there in your heart, causing blockages. And you know, when you think about it, it isn't hard to extrapolate the metaphor, right, into our human hearts, into our physical hearts. Because what is it that we most afraid of dying from? A blockage in the heart, a heart attack, you know? So these are ways in which our physical body embodies some of what's going on in our spiritual life and in our psyches. And we could go straight to the source rather than straight to the doctor every time. Although, if you had a heart blockage, I recommend you go to a doctor, but you get my point. So yeah, there's pain that's connected to letting these stored patterns go. But breathing through the pain becomes easier and easier as you practice it. Like women in childbirth learn to do, or those who deal with chronic pain of a physical nature, who know that pain will not kill you. Pain will not kill you. It hurts. It's difficult, but you can breathe through pain and watch it change. Breathing expands and stretches out the contracted, tight knot of energy. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Just breathe into it. Big, deep, slow, calculated breaths into whatever it is where it hurts the most. Loosening it, weakening its hold, letting each unsubstantial shred blow away on your out-breath into the nothingness from which it has come. It has no bearing on you. It has no power on you that you do not give it. It never threatened you. We only thought it did. But guess what? All samskaras are not negative ones. We have stored positive ones too. Like one of the memories I hope you reached in your meditation. Golden moments we cling to, not wanting to let them go. Forever remembering that time when everything was perfect, right? Golden. The sunlight was golden. The sky was blue. The birds sang. Flowers were blooming. Something wonderful happened, and we want to relive it again and again. So we hang on to it. No time is ever going to be this good again. I don't want it to go away. And this becomes a samskara. This becomes something that does need to be breathed into and let go of. Because the result is we stay stuck in the past instead of meeting the now, where true joy always is. Singer says, the highest state you've ever experienced is simply the result of how open you were. Children just walk around open, don't they? And a lot of your best memories are probably long ago as a child. If you don't close, it can be like that all the time, he says. Don't sell yourself short. This can go on all the time. Unending inspiration, unending love, unending openness. That's the natural state of a healthy heart. The stored energy will begin to come up constantly and pass right through you with your breath, with your attention, with your allowing yourself to stay open. Just let it all happen, he says. Get it over with. Don't process these things one by one. Don't chew them up a little piece at a time. He says that's too slow. Stay centered behind them and just breathe them in and out. Don't examine them. Don't get into the content. Don't relive it. Just feel it. Just allow it. Just allow whatever comes up spontaneously, whatever runs through your mind. Just allow it. Just know it's passing. Every single thing that you breathe out, everything you pass, all the pain, every moment of it, all of that is being released, even if there's more that follows. You're not recycling it. You're not dredging it up. You're not making more of it. You're not affirming it, because we really get confused with our spiritual tools. We think if we just allow this stuff to come up, well, I'm affirming it, I'm letting it, so I shove it back down. But the problem is shoving it back down keeps it there instead of allowing it to do its holy work, which is just to let us go, to let us become, to unburden us, to remind us of how powerful we really are and how much joy there really is. Singer says, stay centered behind those thoughts and let go. If you slip, just get back up. It doesn't matter. Just keep letting it go. Simple. This is the mantra. I breathe, I let go. And finally, he moves into transcending that tendency to close, and he says this, ultimately, if you protect yourself perfectly, you will never grow. One more time. Ultimately, if you protect yourself perfectly, you will never grow. And now we know why. Because we have shut down our life. If you really want to grow, you have to do the opposite. Real spiritual growth happens when there's only one of you inside. There's not a part that's scared and another part that's protecting the part that's scared. All parts are unified because there's no part of you that you're not willing to see. Because you're no longer afraid. Because you know what the truth is. And because you do it enough, you teach yourself that even getting through the pain is actually welcome. That when the pain arises, you know you're onto something. Something you haven't faced before recently. Might have been a long time ago. But the pain is welcome. Because you know it will not kill you, and you are more than it. He says all parts are unified because there's no part of you you're not willing to see. The mind is no longer divided into the conscious and subconscious. Everything you see inside is just something you see inside. It's not you. It's what you see. There is simply the pure energy pouring inside of you that creates the ripples of thoughts and emotions. And there is the consciousness that's aware of it. There is simply you watching the dance of the psyche. He says you simply relax and release. That's the mantra. I use breath because I release around breath. And I give that gift to you to use. No charge. And no matter how many times you're pulled, that's how many times you relax and release. He says because the tendency to get drawn in is constant. The willingness to let go and fall behind has to also be constant. And when you slip up, remember and do it again and let it go. No matter what events take place in life, it is always better to let go rather than to close. It is always better to let go rather than to close. And for me, I like to think of them as simply things that happened once. Breathing. Breathing. Namaste.
Thank you, Karen.
Was that fun?
Yeah.
I appreciate how he is drawing us into a greater awareness of our body and being in the energy of the body. We tend to walk around like we're in a thought bubble all the time, up in our head, and that to be in that energy, which is such a natural thing, right? Our heart energy, we've got to be present to what's here, right? And the samskaras, and that there are good ones. I appreciated that. Thank you for including that there are good ones that we hold in our hearts too. We tend to be, we got to fix those wounds, got to fix them. You know, there's all that good stuff there too that is there, and we can call on that too.
Well, he basically says that, if I read him right, the positive ones are also to be released. Because otherwise we tend, as we do with our minds, we tend to idealize them. And this becomes the thing that can never be repeated, and it can never be matched, and maybe nothing else will ever be as good as this once was. And isn't that ridiculous illusion when we have no idea what's coming at us every moment? And the only reason we have that is because we were open. So really the lesson to get from it is that I can release. I am not fearfully holding on to this really good time, because I got so many more coming right now. That's really what he's saying, is that you can go fearlessly and unguarded in the world. Fearlessly.
It reminds me of the famous skater Todd Eldridge. He was doing really well, but he was coming in second a lot. And finally, he worked with a good coach. Wouldn't it be great to know what that coach said? But the result of that coaching was, for the next long while, I mean, it was probably a year, he fell a lot. And then he stopped falling and he started winning. That's when he started getting the gold medals, being world champion, that sort of thing. And the learning was that he was afraid of falling. So he had to fall a lot. And that, when I heard that story, that was very liberating for me. It's like there have been times in my life where I've come right to the edge of a threshold where I recognize, wow, I've got choice here. And am I going to be courageous and just live free? I mean, to be frank, that's what coming out is. I was reconciled, and I knew what God made. But when you, in the culture I grew up in, in Oklahoma in the 70s, it's a hostile environment to be gay. And so you kind of know that, and you can protect yourself and say, okay, I don't need to take on that pain. I closed my heart. And then I realized, yeah, but that's a little bit like, taking poison hoping the other person will die. And so I decided I don't need to do that. And once I made that decision to come out in every aspect of my life, with my family, with my career, I knew that there would be consequences. I knew that hostility that was inherent in the world it didn't disappear just because I claimed who I was. I couldn't care anymore. That wasn't my responsibility. It's just like, and I was willing to accept any consequences that came of it, because I knew, for me, I just couldn't not, claim myself. And then I've used that in other aspects, when I have felt contracted and fearful, unsafe. It's like, it's all manufactured. It's not inherent in this situation. I can be present here too.
When you said, I'm just curious, when you said, I couldn't care anymore, were you saying that even if you wanted to care, you couldn't? Or that the teaching was that you had to even let go of caring about anybody else's
I don't know that I don't know. It's just sort of a turn of phrase, but now that you've asked it that way, I think it's probably both. But it's just like, I don't have time. I don't have time is also a turn of phrase. It's like, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
Your discomfort around my being who I am. That's.
It's a state you arrived at.
It's a state I arrived at. And sort of allowing that. Okay, they're now going to have their experience of this queer in their life, and
let them deal with it.
And they're going to now get to practice opening their hearts, and Godspeed their little journey.
Exactly. Well, it sounds like the liberation is more valued than what they think of you.
Exactly. And I think it's also what you were saying earlier, Karen, about it's universal. It's not like you can channel your love and your, the same goes with genuine acceptance and living from a space of I'm free falling through life, and I'm just fine with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, and that's exactly right, because that's truly opening your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no, like I said, there's no, it's either open or closed.
Yeah.
There's no halfway, there's no filter, there's no some of this and none of that. It's the whole thing. And the contraction will happen with fear, but it will also happen in other states of mind, like judgment,
Right.
anger, resentment. By golly, they're not getting any of this. That's not going to happen. It's like they don't deserve it. They didn't say they were sorry. It's like that, all of that. But can you see how that's all me, and that's how I'm living, and I'm stinking up the place with that, right? Instead of floral bouquets, just love, right?
It's a laboratory, we have our cornerstone experiences that allow us to have a visceral experience of what you just described, about living with what is the phrase that we're talking about? Opening your heart, expanding your heart, living from your heart. And then when we become petty, not if, when, and it could be an egg on the kitchen floor. Just life happens, then it's like, oh, look at how I'm being, and there's a choice around even something as pedestrian as cleaning up a mess. It's like, okay, I know how to do this. I have some practice at this. And, so life is a laboratory. We get to do it again. We get to fall again until we win a gold medal.
Over and over.
A friend reminded me recently that even a crab has a soft belly.
Oh.
That we noticed that person you mentioned with the cloud hanging over their head.
Pigpen. It's like Pigpen in Peanuts,
Yeah.
dust cloud follows it. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
Please.
yeah, that we cannot characterize them that way. We remember the soft belly that's present there.
Yeah.
Love them in that too.
Right, and also to, it becomes more like what David is saying. After a while, it isn't me trying to find something good in that person to cling to or whatever. It's not about that person at all, at all. It's about me. What kind of person am I wanting to be? Who am I in this moment? And if I have a reaction, that's just an opportunity, the laboratory, to be able to say, do I still want to be that person? I'm being asked the question, because I feel like I want to shut down. And it's like, no, it's not the person I want to be. I want to be this person, and I'm going to do it no matter who's in front of me, no matter how they're being, no matter where they come from, no matter whether they got a soft belly or a hard back or a big mouth or whatever. It's like it doesn't matter who they are. I'm going to love them anyway, because that's who I am, right?
A trick that I sometimes use. I'm sorry. What? What'd you say?
Just a metaphor.
Just a metaphor. Oh,
Yeah.
well, a trick that I use sometimes when I want to have some impact on the way another individual or a group of people will respond to me is I imagine what it would be like if they loved me. And then I go ahead and interact with that. It doesn't even have to be present, but I interact with. I've done this a couple of times with choirs, that have a little of this going on, for whatever reason, and I just go in and I just be that they're having the time of their lives and they're just loving this experience. And I stand in the presence of that, and very often, pretty soon, that seizure has begun, you know, and I've initiated it because I've responded to Forward from the Future. You know, I imagined what that was going to be like, and then it sang back to me. Because I have to say, when I was listening to you talk, I was fascinated by it all, but it was a little like helium to me. It's like I needed to ground it to be able to make sense of it. And then I latched onto that Todd Eldridge metaphor, and then it's like, now I understand what you're talking about, of that open energy. At first I didn't know if you were speaking literally or metaphorically, and probably a little both.
It's the only thing we do. It's the only thing we do. And I would say that the magic with your choir is that you love it so much.
Yeah.
You came to love it. You didn't come in here to hate being with them,
Right,
you know,
right.
or to, you know, drag them through it even if they don't like it, you know. You came to make music with them,
Yeah.
and you came and you brought it. So your heart was already open, and especially since you chose to love them right where they are.
Yeah.
That's all it took, really.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.